clinical site at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. So we look forward to hearing our valuable insights today. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Aroyewu Olale.
Ms. Soria. So, Dr. Aroyewu, you have the floor.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening. How is everyone? I know it's morning back there in Nigeria. How is the rain? I heard it's been raining heavily recently. So thank you so much for the introduction. And I know that many people that are part of this program have more experiences, but let's just say I'm opportune to share certain knowledge today. So it's a delight to be here today, and it's really a good feeling to have, that Nigerian touch. Really, I'm really excited. So let's just go straight to the point. Today I'm to discuss publishing a letter to the editor. So I know that when someone sees this topic, they'll be like, we can write letters now. We've been writing letters since primary school. So what do you want to teach us? What's so special about writing a letter to the editor? Is it not to say, dear sir, I write this, I am writing for this, or I write to this, and that. But then that's a different letter entirely. That's a formal letter. A letter to the editor is another type of publication. Okay, it's, for me, I like to refer to as like the headline publication. So let's deep into it. So a letter to the editor is popularly known as correspondence. I know some of you may have heard the word correspondence, or you've heard the letter to the editor. Some of you may have come across articles that are written correspondence or letter to the editor, or sometimes some people refer to it as editorials, but it's rare. Editorials sometimes look a little different, but most of the time they still have certain similarities. So the letter to the editor is a scientific publication. All right, when you read newspapers, it's you hear you see the headlines and their content based on the interviews or based on the information gotten from the research or from the news station. But in this case, it's a scientific publication, but it is classified as short communication. Now we have some research that are normal research, normal articles. So for those articles, you could have like 15 pages, or you could have like 5,000 to 8,000 words. But in the case of short communications, for some short communications, we have or such short research, we could have 5 pages, 3 pages, depending. But in the case of letter to the editor, it is smaller. Some articles will tell you not more than 500 words. And some articles will tell you not more than 700 words with limited 10 references or thereabouts. So, but we'll discuss that as we go. Now, it allows readers to interact with authors through opinions. Now, sometimes I'm going to share some of the articles I've published in correspondence. Now, remember when there was this subsidy issue in Nigeria, or remember when there was currency redesign? Before we could conduct research, for example, I'm here in Malaysia, having to conduct research in Nigeria may be a little difficult. If I want to collect data online, it may be a little difficult, because right now I'm trying to conduct a research in Nigeria, but I've still not gotten the number of participants I needed because I was collecting data online. So some of the times you want to share an opinion that, based on what is happening right now in this country, pending the time we have the availability of resources to conduct the real research, why don't we share our opinions? Why don't you tell the world about what is happening in Nigeria and how we can share our opinions? Also, letter to the editor could be used as a criticism. For example, there are certain economic, political, or academic situations that you think you need evidence to prove that these things are wrong. Now, there are not things that people are overly researched. You want to pick on something unique, because before you can write a letter to the editor and convince the editor that it's what's publishing, it shows that what you're talking about is happening fresh or it is unique. Also, you want to make contributions, okay? Probably your own way of contributing. You don't want to conduct the major research, but you know that there's something to be said about it. But it's something you can say in few words. You could use letter to the editor or correspondence to address it. Or if you have ideas. Probably you have solution to certain problems and you want to give evidence for it, but you want to write a short document for it. You don't want to write long documents. You could also do this. Then we have hypothesis and we also have new data. Now, I hope everybody's ready today because I really want us to have practice session, but let's go on. Now, these are articles that are short, like I said, interesting and timely. If anybody is writing about the currency redesign, it might be too late. Except if you want to do an update research, then you can publish. But if you want to write a correspondence on currency redesign, then this is not the time. But right now, if you want to write about the hiking of fuel price, that might be timely because it's happening right now. Because recently I saw a report that as of last week, fuel was like around 800, if I'm not mistaken, but now it is like 1,000 or 1,000, so I'm not sure, but at least I know that there's a hike. Now, if you want to write something based on this right now, then it's timely because it's happening right now. But if you wait after months when the prices have balanced, then it's not timely anymore. Then it has to be interesting because it's a short communication. It's a 2-3 paragraphs article. So you should be able to get the interest of your reader. Your reader should be interested, even though it's short, your reader should be interested in starting and ending your document. In fact, they should want more. That's the idea. They give scientific or academic comments and clarification. Sometimes I may publish a work. Maybe I did a research and I publish it. And you think, oh my God, this research this person had done has certain mistakes or has certain fallbacks. You might want to write a letter to the editor as a rejoinder for it. All right. Or you want to make clarification. Or you want to say sequel to the research I published, certain issues that have been raised, and I want to clarify these issues. These issues are this, and these are the clarifications, and you publish. So sometimes when you make mistakes, probably there were data mistakes, there were methodological mistakes. You could also use letter to the editor to correct those mistakes in your publication. Now, what are the focus? Number one is it could be a response to, like I said earlier, it could be a response to an already published work. I'm going to show you an example here. An author published a work, but then another author felt I need to improve, I need to add more to what this person has said. For example, recently we spoke about the suicide rates in Malaysia. Somebody else could also improve my work, respond to my work that based on would make reference to my work, my article and my publication, and give an additional information, or if in this case, give a response. Maybe somebody wants to say that, oh no, we don't have increased suicidal rates in Malaysia. So the person can also write a letter to the editor to give a response to that publication. Also, the author wants to raise observation, like we said earlier, criticism, appraisal, and so on, to identify an important error, like I mentioned, also to give evidence for praise or criticism. Now, this is an example. Now, this is, if you look at the document by the left, we have monkeypox virus among seafarers is not to be neglected. Now, this was an article written initially. We now have another one by the right. Monkeypox virus, hold on, among seafarers. Now, if you look at it, a comment was made. We would like to evaluate the article, monkeypox virus among seafarers is not to be neglected. So you can see that the author, Amnoy, in the right, is making a reference to the author in the left. But these documents are both correspondence. In this case, is advancing the information, is adding up to what is known already. So you can do this to your letter to the editor. Also, the need to make popular and important current issues. Like we know there's so many things happening right now that may feel right or that may not feel right. And you feel if I have to wait to publish or if I have to wait to collect normal data, it may pass, but something has to be said about this thing. So you can also use letter to the editor to address it. Now, usually many journals, high-profile journals accept letter to the editor, even Natural and Lancet. We know Natural is the #1 article, a journal in the world. Lancet is the second one. So even journal Natural and Lancet, many Scopus or many WOS, Web of Science publication accept correspondence. So it's not like, oh, is it going to be counted? Now, especially if you want to work, or I don't know how our institutions are, but for me, when I publish letter to the editor, I get my full points. Especially when I publish in a Scopus date journal, I get the full point for publication because it is also a publication and it is significant, it is relevant. The difference is just that it is short. All right. So better still, you can highlight an issue in your field and its possible consequences or vice versa. I know there are so many things we have in our mind that we think, oh, by the time we collect data, time will be fast spent, or by the time I'm able to do this, it may be impossible. Letter to the editor may just be your option, or a correspondence may just be an option. So I have another example here. I'm going to still show us the real document, and I hope we're going to have a practice section here. So here we have floods amidst COVID-19 in Malaysia, implications on the pandemic response. Okay, and we also have another one here, addressing the impact of Nigeria's currency redesign. So I published the one on the right, but the one on the left was published by someone here in Malaysia. So you can see, let's look at the topic, floods amidst COVID-19 in Malaysia, implication on the pandemic response. And if you look at the title of my own, addressing the impact of Nigeria's currency redesign policy on mental health. Remember when I was introduced, I'm a psychologist. So usually I redirect most of my writing into mental health because that is my field. So you can see that you could just, I know somebody may be thinking, oh, this is a lazy man's publication. Yes, you could say that it's a lazy man's publication, but in the end, you get to publish. Now, if you look at so many authors that have 10,000 publications, 20,000 publications, if you study all the trend of their publication, many of them have letter to the editor. Currently, I know of someone who has like 200 publications, but almost 80 is current letter to the editor, short communications. So, and these documents are highly referenced, all right, because it's like the headline news that gives the idea that Nigeria's currency redesign is definitely going to have effects on people's mental health. And I'm sure many people could account to that while there were issues, people were queuing to change the money, people were having challenges with the money, having to purchase things they like. It was affecting people mentally. People were stressed. Even with the case of fuel increase, many people know that it's stressing them. You have a beautiful car, you have a nice car in the house, but you can hardly drive your car because you want to manage fuel. You know, in those days, you could buy a full tank for 15,000, 18,000. I'm talking of just 3 years ago. But now with a 50,000, it depends on your car. Well, with a 40,000, 50,000, you know, you're going to buy a full tank. And that's a lot of money because we know salaries is not improving. So these are the things that you want to use letter to the editor to address. All right. Now, what are the features in the correspondence? All right. Number one, it has to be an original content. You can't do copy and paste. You can't copy from somebody else's articles because we know many of us make that mistakes, right? Some of us just, especially when we are writing literature review in our thesis, we just copy and paste. And by the time Turnitin or any similarity application is to detect, it detects like 90% of our work to be copied and pasted. So you can't copy and paste. The idea should be original, but you might just need references to back up your ideas. Now, some of these references, it is accepted if you use newspaper references. It is accepted if you use, what do you call it? Blog reports, but it has to be recent, like we said. Like, for example, the one I wrote, we published recently about suicide rates in Malaysia. It was the Prime Minister that declared, that the suicide rate is increasing. We need to do something. So if a Prime Minister is declaring that shows there's a problem. Okay, so that was where we got the idea from. So it has to be an original content. You have to write it yourself. You have to share that idea. All right. But you can, of course, you need evidence to back up your idea, of course. Then it has to be concise. This is not where you write stories. Your paragraph 1, straight to the point. Paragraph 2, straight to the point. For example, paragraph 1 is the general introduction. Paragraph 2 is identifying the problems. Paragraph 3 is identifying the solution. And the last paragraph is conclusion. Facts, that's it. Just straightforward like that. Then usually the journals are between 500 to 700, like I said, but in some cases, they accept 1,000 words. Now, most journals do not request for abstract. When you're writing a letter to the editor, you don't need abstract. Though some journals may request for keywords, but definitely not abstract. So if you're writing the keywords, it could be 2 to 5 keywords. Now, the title must be quite catchy and brief. The title must be brief, but it must address what you want to say. From the title, we'll know what you're going to talk about. There's some journals indicate word length, like I said earlier. But personally, I work with 10 to 12 word length. So the width and the breadth of your paragraphs matters a lot. Now, some journals require you to start with "Dear Editor." So I'm sure if you remember when you're writing your research, you receive some articles that that carries "Dear Editor." While some journals will tell you not to bother about that, they just skip that part. So an idea must be on a paragraph. Like I said, in number 1 is the introduction. Very succinct, very direct, very precise. Number 2, now your introduction captures all the ideas you want to discuss. That's your introduction. We're talking of maximum 7, 8, 9, or 10 or 12. It depends on you. The problem, paragraph 2, you want to discuss what the problem is. But you want to really be, you want to be strong with your words. The way you write it will show that, oh, this is really a problem. Whoever picks your article will know that, oh, I can use this as a template for research. Okay, then we have probable solution. That should be your paragraph 3. And like I said earlier, your paragraph 4 is the conclusion. Now, there has to be citation and references, obviously, because you can't just say that Nigerians are suffering or Nigerians suffer mental health problem, except that there's an evidence to show for it. And usually, many articles, from my experience, when I submit letter to the editor, many of the time they always ask us to get global evidence. So it's not only situated in your country. They want to see evidence that this had happened in another country and it's also affected their mental health, or this happened in another country and it's affected their economy. So they want to see you referring to global examples. So this is where it's important that you have your citations and you give your global example. But many authors will tell you they don't want more than 10 references. So you can see it's a very direct writing. Also, it has to be focused, unambiguous, and clearly explained. All right, because if you're not clear about what you want to talk, you can't go around. Or like literature review, or when we're writing our thesis, we can play around, right? We can decide to discuss so many things just to make our papers big or heavy, or to make the words thousands of words. But in this case, they are not particular. Nobody cares about the quantity because it has to be short. But they are more particular about the quality of your work. It has to be, we should know that this is what you're talking about and you maintain your lane. So if I'm focused on mental health and Naira, then I discuss only mental health and Naira. I don't talk about anything else. I don't talk about the dollar, except if I'm making a reference to the dollar. And it's also to say that there was a problem alongside too. Now, it is required to maintain the tone of respect and professionalism. Like, for example, in the case of the reference, the one I showed you earlier, an individual published one, and another person was trying to make reference to it. You have to maintain professionalism. You can't use insultive words. You can't say, oh, that person has lied, or that person has fabricated data. No, you maintain professional terms. So you use polite, formal words to address the issue. So in case you want to criticize, you address it respectfully. And in case you want to improve your work, you also address it respectfully. So we don't want overpraisal and we don't want insult or underpraisal. So in case there are criticism, for example, if I am saying the Naira redesign affected mental health, and you're like, no, it's a lie. So you can't say, oh, you have lied, this is crazy. No, you have to use academic terms. You have to say that and you also have to back up your evidence while you think, if I feel the Naira redesign had mental health implications, and why you think it never had mental health implications. Now, the content should be focused on the content, that's the idea, the topic, or the method, or the method, and not the personality. So in case, like I said, if it's about what I wrote, you're not going to attack me that, oh, that individual, she's used to fabricating words. No, you're going to have to attack the content, what I wrote. So it's not about the author, but the content of the author. So, and it's very important because we have, because if you don't address that professionally, obviously your article will not be accepted. Now, another thing is, okay, I have another example here. This is a complete one. that we published, mental health implications of monkeypox and urgent need for action. This was when we had the second wave, the recent wave of monkeypox. That was in 2003. So this is all the article that I published, and it was published 2022. All right, so I had co-authors alongside. Now, this is everything. This is all the articles. You can see we had just how many paragraphs? 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. All right. And we had 9 references. So this is me as the author. This is my, and I had 2 other, we were 4 of us, 4 other, 3 other co-authors. So the beautiful thing about letter to the editor is that 2 people, it's something you can write within 1 hour or 2 hours, and you can send it for publication that same day. And in fact, you can even get response that same day or 2 days or 3 days after. It's always very fast to publish, but then there are also challenges when you need to publish, because just like our normal articles, we also get rejection. Okay, so they could tell you that, oh, it does not align with the theme of the journal, or they could tell you that they don't see this as a problem, or they could tell you that you might need to improve it and send elsewhere. They could just give you reasons. So the rejection rate is also as high as normal articles, but the acceptance rate is still, you know, fairly better compared to general articles. So this is all the articles. Don't worry, after the class, I'm going to show you the recent one that we published. All right, so if you're responding to another person's article, then it has to be timely, you know, meaning that if I publish today is October 19, 2024. If you're going to respond, it would be nice to respond within that month. If it's 2 months, 3 months, or even a year, then it makes no sense anymore. 2 months, 3 months may be still fair, as if the situation is still the same. But the moment the situation changes, then your responses may not matter anymore. Well, it's also your course is also a determinant of the span of your response. Some profession, for example, if you are into environmental science, if the soil is still the same, right? So in case there's no change in the soil, you can still wait. But it's always best when there's a closing timing for your response, probably few days or few weeks. That's the best. Waiting for months or years, oh, that is completely gone. All right, so one's argument must be solid and supported with evidence. I mentioned that. Offer potential solution and call for action. So there's something particular about letter to the editor. You can't just complain about the problem. You have to give probable solutions. Okay, you can't just say, like we all do in Nigeria, right? Tinubu this, Tinubu that, Tinubu that. After we know these are the problems, what are the solutions? So we have to give the solution. That is the major idea behind. There has to be a call for action. You have to say that, okay, because we know this is the problem, this has been probable solutions used by other countries, and we're proposing that similar is done in this situation. So table pictures of figures can also be used, but it's usually not necessary because we're working with limited space and time and words, right? So some articles don't want you to put pictures, but sometimes if you need to, it's okay. But because we're working, like some articles already have a permanent space for all correspondence. So you can't take more than that space. So that's why having to use tables or pictures is acceptable, but you may decide not to include it. So there are no restrictions. Just like your normal article, you can have 50 authors. So there are also no restrictions, but it's best to be between 1 and 10 because having 20 will be too much on just a 500-word document, right? And in fact, the beautiful thing about letter to the editor is that you could write it by yourself within 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and you might not need any co-author. But usually, for me, the reason why it has always been nice to have co-authors is because they help me, like I could come up with the first draft. By the time I give my co-authors, they see that probably there's no coherence or there's no flow. And probably they see that, oh, something is missing. We have only mentioned the solution, but we have only mentioned one solution. There are no other solutions. So they see beyond what we see. And that's one of the beautiful things of bringing more than one head, together. So that's why I like to write. Even though it's short, we could finish one work in just one day. And so there's, another thing is, if you're under pressure, would I use the word pressure? If you have to, like, for example, having to work here we, as internationals, we have to meet certain requirements every year, to publish. And sometimes because of language barrier, even though I'm trying to learn the language, because of language barrier, and so having to do original research may be a little difficult. All right, except you're able to get research assistants, you're able to get grants that will help you pay research assistant, but sometimes to just fulfill the criteria and to also, do more for yourself to, elevate your academic, your career, you might need to do, this publications in the middle while you're working on a major article. You might want to just do this to make sure that at least you have something, you've published in Scopus. Okay, so sorry. So publishing in Scopus journal. Now, we all know Scopus journal, Web of Science, or as we all call it, referred journals or high-profile journals. Now, sometimes it can be easy to publish, and sometimes it can be hard. Like I said, rejection, we also get rejections. Now, most times, in most cases, for all the correspondence we have published, we didn't pay APC. That means article processing fee or processing charges. We didn't pay. So many journals don't want you to pay. Some will ask you to pay, but if you make a request that you'd like them to give you a waiver, many times they agree, especially if your work is nice enough for them to want to publish. So usually we get waivers. For some journals, we get waivers. For some journals, they'll tell you help them review and they waive your work. And for some other journals, automatically editorials or letter to the editor or correspondence are completely free. Okay, so you can request for a waiver. Sometimes they could tell you, oh, pay £200 or pay $1,000. You can request for a waiver, but you can, in fact, many Scopus journals accept correspondence. Like I said, the chances of acceptance is very high, but then we also get, especially if your idea is beautiful. Like was it last year or early this year? But I think it was 2024. I'm sorry, I'm missing my date. I'm going to check it. So recently, not very, very recent, but I think early this year, we published in the Lancet, which is the second most popular, second highest ranked journal. Really, it was also it was a self-congratulatory achievement for me, even though it's just one, but I know that many people here may have probably have 10, 20 publications in Lancet or Natural, which is the first journal in the world, and the second is the Lancet. So it was really challenging, but it was a happy thing because we focus on maternal health in Sudan. We have that civilian war in Sudan. So it was timely for us to focus on maternal health, okay, because we know that the war had affected the rate of birth, women access to facilities, and so on. So we got someone from Sudan to collaborate with us, and it was a short article, and we're able to publish in the Lancet. And the beautiful thing is, recently WHO referenced the correspondence. So don't see correspondence as this is a lazy man's job, and you need to be hardworking, do the big jobs. Sometimes you need to do the small ones, to keep pushing the small ones while you're working on the big one, on the big jobs. Remember, few drops of water can fill a bucket, and at the same time can make a small river, if I may say that. All right. So it's, like I said, it's a very fast process. You could get, sometimes when we send articles today, we could get response the same day, maybe because of the time difference. So for us, we are sending it in the morning, but for them it's at night. So by the time they are awake, they see the articles and they're able to read through. Or sometimes you could get feedback in months, but most of the time you could get feedback in days or weeks. It's very fast. Now, the process of submission is the same like full articles. You go through their website, you apply, you fill all the forms, fill all the requirements, the information you're being asked. So it's not like it's an email thing. And some articles, some journals use email method. So whatever the method the journal used to access information, you have to go through that. Then we have some journals, like we said, requires APC, but you can also require a waiver. Now, how do you search for Scopus journal? All right, so you check out the objectives of the journal in line with your write-up. So for example, like the Lancet is the umbrella name, right? But you have to know at what point, what are they interested? What are the things they are interested in? Like, for example, the Frontiers has different journals. Scopus has different journals under it. So if you are talking on psychology, you cannot publish in environmental science. It will be rejected automatically. So if you are focusing on psychology, you publish in a psychology journals. Now, even in psychology journals, we still have some that are focused on social psychology, cultural psychology, psychometrics, personality. So you should know which one actually fits your write-up. So that's the first thing you need to focus on. Then also look at the history of their submission. See that these publications are actually still in Scopus, because if you want to publish in a referred journal or a high publishing or a high profile journal, you have to confirm that they are still a member of that group. So you have to confirm the name of the journal you want to publish in, see if they are still in Scopus. So how do you do that? You have to check their recent publication, see if they've published for that year. All right, it's very important. Then usually Elsevier journals are indexed in both Scopus and Web of Science. So it would be nice if you want to kill a bird and kill two birds with a stone. So you could go for Elsevier journals. So because most of the time they are both registered under Scopus and Web of Science, and that's a double benefit for you. So before I go to thanking you, let me stop sharing and share some of the articles I have published. Hold on, please. Okay, so I'm going to show you the most recent. This is the most recent. Let me hold on. Let me. Sorry, I'm trying to open a few so that we can see some of this. All right, so let me share my screen. Okay. All right, so this is the one I said I published in the Lancet. So you can see this is the title, Sudan's maternal health needs urgent attention amidst armed conflict. So this is everything from here to here, and it ends here. So you can see it's very short. Now, let me give you an example. Look at the first paragraph. An armed conflict erupted in Khartoum, the capital city of Sudan, on April 15. So you can see we're precise about the information we're giving between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Now, we know everybody knows this, but because that is the line we want to draw, so we need that information. Now, the violent clash which has wreaked havoc on the country has hindered the accessibility, quality, and availability of essential maternal health services. So you can see that we didn't discuss about general health services. We went straight to maternal health service because remember, we have few words to play with. Now, an estimate suggests that more than 1.1 million pregnant Sudanese women need care. So you can see here we have our first reference. Now, these are things we write every day. We're all very familiar with this because we all publish, but we just need to, it's just like when, it's just like, let's just say it's like the abstract, you know, I think that will go. It's just like you writing an abstract, but no methodology, no data collection, just sharing your opinion on a 4-paragraph basis. So we have this document here. Then we have another one here. Like I said, it has been referenced by WHO and it was published in the Lancet. Then we also have another one here. Nigeria's economy and health crisis need urgent action, an open letter to WHO. So this is where we're talking about the economic crisis in Nigeria, the increased inflation. The inflation now, I think, every week it's increasing. It's now by 2%, which is outrageous. When I came to Malaysia, that was just 3 years ago, right? It was 100 naira to a ringgit. But it's very disheartening that like 400 naira, if I'm not mistaken, to ringgit. So, you know, that's disparity, that economic. So we needed to address this issue too. But then we know our government is doing a lot to address it. So we need to address this issue, and it was an open letter to WHO. So we also have this, I mentioned this earlier. This is the most recent. You know, we published this, was it not 2 months ago? Let's see. This was in August, yes, August. So this was published alongside one person from Nigeria and another person here in Malaysia. So so here you can see we're addressing the Malaysia. Okay, let me mention, this is where we said global data for blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if we read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, from the 7th line, the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Hamad Zahid Amidi, expressed worry on July 9, 2024. So you can see that it's precise. You know what you want to say and you go straight to the point. Regarding the alarming number of almost 49,000 calls to the National Mental Health Hotline since the program commenced in 2022. The suicidal cases, which increased from 981 in 2022 by 10% to 1087 in 2023. So you can see that you are making reference to an authority. All right, and these are the things that we do. So I'd like us to have a practice section right now. I hope we understand. I don't want to put us through how to write because we all are writers. We write articles, we publish. But I want us to think. Let's think about something that we know that has not been, we think has not been majorly addressed in Nigeria, and that with a letter to the editor, we can quickly address it and put up an article. Is that possible? Can we have a practice session now? Dr. Bamiro, is it possible?
Okay. Okay, so you want us to for questioning and answer?
I want to see if we can come up with if we can have a practice session. Is it possible?
Yes, but let me look at yes, maybe for around like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Okay.
Okay, but our participants, are we ready? Do we want to have a practice session?
Yeah, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We
so
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
beautiful. So let's start. The first 1 minute, let's think about something that we know is germane, something that we know is a problem that probably we think has not been addressed well, or maybe it is being addressed, but there's a new version to it, or there's a new event to it. Just think of something that is very important that you might want to address. It might be economic, academic, anything within your field. Okay, so please go ahead, Miss.
I said underemployment. Underemployment.
Underemployment. Yes, we have underemployment, but which aspect of underemployment? Because underemployment is a general thing, happens everywhere in the world. But which aspect do we want to focus on that would actually get us that attention from the editor?
Teachers.
What if we talk about girl child education?
You said girl child education.
Problem facing girl child education in Nigeria.
Okay, problem
Yes.
facing girl child education in Nigeria. Now, we know that there had always been problems facing girl child education for a long time. Do we now have a new trend to read?
Okay, what if we put it like this? Factors militating against girl child education in Nigeria, so that we will concentrate on some aspects.
Oh, I
Can you
have
give
a
an
suggestion.
example of the
Like
hold on
social
factors?
problems.
Okay, can you do this? Ambassador Mary, can you write out in the chat box?
Okay.
Mr. Is it Mr. or Dr. Muji Tafa? Can you also write a topic? Also,
Okay, let me go to the chat
Excuse
box.
me. Excuse
Dr.
me.
Monday, you said what?
Yes, is it peculiar to Nigeria? Because I'm a Nigerian, but I live in Europe.
Yeah, it does not have to be peculiar to Nigeria. I mean, something in Europe, like for example, I'm a Nigerian, but I wrote on the rising suicide case in Malaysia. So anything that you know that is germane where you are, that you know that needs that attention, and you want to create that attention through your publication.
Because
Yeah,
Can we have those in the
because
chat?
there's
Yeah.
this gang violence. There's this gun violence that is very common in Sweden these days. It has caused some kind of worries to the government of Sweden. In fact, they call for support from other countries to help them out with how to solve the problem.
Dog violence.
Almost every day or every week they're killing gun violence, among the young people.
Gun violence.
Yeah,
okay, gun violence. Now, yeah,
gun
beautiful.
violence, a lot of killings.
Yeah, we know there is gun violence everywhere in the world, right? We hear of nonchalant killing everywhere. But what is that aspect that you think needs to be addressed? Because of course, almost everywhere in the US, in the Western countries, we know there's always,
I think the issue is a lot of people are jobless or they don't want to work.
For him now,
So that's why there's a rise in this crime level.
Okay, so let's walk. Beautiful. If you think this is significant, that will be your topic. Now, for me, Dr. Mujitafa, economic importance of fuel subsidy removal on agriculture.
I have already sent mine. Effect of early marriage on girl child education.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll up. Sorry. Okay, so sorry, madam. Let me start from the first, as I have it to the screen on the chat box. All right. I apologize if I don't read yours first. So we have flooding and global warming. Yes, flooding and global warming is everywhere now. What is that special trend to it? Is it new in Nigeria? Global warming is everywhere. There's climate change. But what is that thing that is new that you feel, oh, if we don't address this, there's going to be trouble? Obviously. Then we have fuel subsidy, hunger, and mental health. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have that. Do we where did people conduct research later regarding fuel subsidy, or is still a current case? Now we're looking into hunger as a new thing. So what is the hunger part? Were we hungry before? Are we now more hungry? So that's the perception you want to look into, Dr. Bamiru. Then we have Dr. Ibrahim, addressing high cost of food items, a short-term approach. Beautiful. So now you're going to prefer solutions to address the high cost of food. All right. So even though we know that because of the inflation, food is hiking by the day, but then you want to give a short-term approach to address it. And I think that is also good. Now, Ambassador Mary, we have effect of early marriage on girl child education in Nigeria. Good. Now we know that early marriage is a concept in Nigeria that everybody is aware of, but you want to look into the aspect of the child's education. All right. Now you want to be sure that you've read articles that have not addressed those things you want to address. Okay, because generally girl child education is very prominent. Like if you publish girl child, people are really interested, which is a good topic. But you want to come up with a dimension that had not been addressed in other articles. So this is also beautiful. Then we have flooding in Nigeria. We've always had flooding in Nigeria, but what is the new aspect of the flooding in Nigeria? Is it a new thing that we're having flooding, or we're beginning to have flash flooding that never occurred before? Or maybe we've always had bad drainages in Nigeria. So maybe the flooding now lasts longer, and the implications are on our health, mobility, and of course, we already have bad roads, right? So these are some of the things we're talking about. So this is another very good. So far, all the topics have been very good. Then we have Mr. Mujid Tafa, economic importance of fuel subsidy. Okay, I mentioned that earlier. Now, first subsidy removal on agriculture. Beautiful. This is another beautiful topic because we know that ordinarily, because of Boko Haram, the agricultural sector had suffered. And because of the GMOs we hear, everybody has that fear of, oh, would we have access to quality food? Now there's a fuel removal. How would our farmers have access, or how would they be able to mobilize their products? It has been difficult in the past because of the transportation, because of expenses, but now it's going to be more difficult. So this is another beautiful one. Then we have roadmap to adoption, sustainability reporting roadmap to adoption. Sorry, is it the same adoption we're talking here? Is it Mr. Abdulakim or Dr. Abdulakim? Roadmap to adoption sustainability. Sorry, maybe it's not because it's my field, but okay. What do you have in mind regarding that?
Hello. Nigeria is just adopting sustainability reporting in Nigeria, and now there is a roadmap set down for adoption of such. Okay, like public enterprise will adopt in 2028, and then SME will adopt in 2030. Okay.
Okay, so what's the new trend to it? Is it something that's been well researched, or is it new in Nigeria, or what's the problem with it?
It's actually not new in Nigeria, okay, but there is no mandatory regulatory to support that you must actually report your sustainability as a business in Nigeria. So Nigeria is just adopting that, okay, moving forward, there must be mandatory reporting on whatever sustainability you are doing as a business in Nigeria. So the topic is trying to address maybe the transition to mandatory adoption will be smooth, just like other advanced countries.
Okay, good. Okay, now beautiful. We all have ideas of what we'd like to discuss. We've gotten focus. So the first thing to then do is you want to, in short form, you want to highlight what you want to discuss in your introduction. You want to highlight what you're going to discuss as the major problem. Your paragraph 3, what are the possible solutions? Now, your solution should not be born out of Nigeria. For example, I'm going to work with topics that I'm, a little familiar with. So let me look into, for example, I like the topic that early marriage on girl-child education. Now, what is the problem? Is the problem the early marriage itself? Are you saying the problem is the early marriage? Or you're saying that early marriage has stopped being the problem because there's so much awareness. People now know that, okay, you need to let the girl mature before she's married.
Yeah,
But then,
there is awareness, but there is still that fact. With the present economic condition in Nigeria, parents are withdrawing their children from school and marrying them off early. So we are back to where we started from.
Good. So that is the problem. But then you're going to buttress your problem, even though this is US. You just express it simply. Your problem has to be backed with facts, with evidences from other culture. For example, you could look into the Indian culture. They also marry their children off when they are economic difficulty. Okay, at least I recently saw was it a documentary? So I can relate with that. So now that's what you're going to do. But we're looking at just 500 to 700 words. All right. So I think it would be a nice, now that we all have a topic we think of, it's something we could, if we are not too tired, it's something we could put up in the next 2 hours. Now, it would be nice if we have you sit down and write up the content. Look into other countries. Now, what has early marriage done for girls? The fact that economic hardship has set in, so you're bringing in the economic part, parents are withdrawing their children from school, even though in the first place, they were practically being forced to take them to school. So are we talking of private schools or you're talking of public schools? Now, apart from that, are we talking of free education? Yeah.
Pardon? I didn't hear you well.
Okay, I was just trying to buttress the idea that you have to be sunset about the problem. So here you want to focus on, is it public schools or private schools? Okay.
It's more of public schools, and it's more of in the northern parts of Nigeria.
Oh, beautiful. So you have to specify all these details. There has to be a precedent, and your precedent was that before, the education and everything, but now because of the hardship, you also have to make reference to the level of inflation and why parents are withdrawing. So you can say that you know the problem, but you have to put that idea down in just 500 words. Meaning there has to be an introduction, there has to be the problem statement referring to other countries that had similar problems, and you also have to provide solution, because the idea of correspondence is you can't just complain. We have to see that you're giving solution, so that whoever picks up your article would see that, oh, yes, this is the problem. Oh, this is the solution.
Okay.
Is it clear, Ambassador Mary?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. So I think it would be
Thank you.
nice if we all can write this. I think it would be nice. Okay, we have we have new ones. Psychological well-being of underemployed private school teachers in Nigeria. Okay, so this we know that generally employment in Nigeria generally is the same. Abi, everybody is still underemployed because in fact, with the rate of inflation right now, everybody's underemployed. I'm sure Tinubu himself will say, "Oh, I'm also underemployed because my salary can't afford me the luxury as I would want." So yes, even though we know the government is working on the new minimum wage, but then almost everybody is underemployed. Now you want to situate it in private schools, meaning ordinarily private teachers had been underpaid a long time. So having to situate it is also a good idea. So you can come up with a correspondence and an editorial to address the problem, address the possible solution, and finally you have your conclusion. So I think we all have these wonderful topics. We also have reduction in Nigerian standard of education, the impact and probable solution. Beautiful. You know, it's been a worry. Just today, somebody still sent a message to me that, you know, even the professors are worried that there's a reduction in the standard of education. So I think, yes, we can address this because it's still happening right now. And until there's a solution, this is also paramount. But we need to have reference. It's very important because if you want to publish it like Scopus or high impact journals, you have to make reference to other countries that also had a reduction in their education and how they were able to solve it. And, you know, you also want to, you know, share those ideas. Nutritional deficiencies. Okay, this is general. You need to specify in what aspect of, are you looking into children? Now, we know there's always been nutritional deficiencies. You know, people always think that the Africans are still the hungry people. You know, yes, we know we're, you know, hard because of our economy, but then we're not as bad as they think, right? So you have to situate the nutritional deficiencies. Which direction are you looking into? Which is it the children? Is it babies? Like recently in Malaysia, the government is calling for improvements because they notice that the children are underweight. All right.
Okay, ma. Yeah. Like from what I've seen regarding nutritional deficiency in like past research, it has always been on low income earning communities. But looking at the trend right now in Nigeria, even people that are like middle class now, they can't actually afford to actually take like balanced diets now, unlike before.
Okay, beautiful. Now you have to make reference to the economy. All right. So you have to, your title is not complete. You need to add more to your title. Maybe, for example, effect of rising inflation on nutritional deficiencies. And you want to work on this fast because we know it's happening right with the reference to fuel increase, the inflation. Before the government finds a solution, which we pray they find a solution very, very soon. You know, you want to write this. So you have to situate, the title has to speak to the topic, to the work. You want to situate it. So if you want to situate it based on even the wealthy now can afford. Before, you know, in Nigeria, it used to be 101 now. We used to, everybody, I don't know about you, but when, you know, we all eat, even now I'm still used to eating. Now it's, for me, it's still 0, sometimes 011, right? But we are used to at least skipping one, you know, for an average Nigerian, except if you are very, very rich, right? So now we used to eat, let's say 101 or 011 or 110. But now you're saying that it is 001. Or even if you are eating 101, the one itself is as good as just chewing something. There's no nutritional value to it. So it's very important. I think this is, all our topics are very germane. Okay, so okay, I think Dr. Bamiro would answer this. Yes, it's recording. I'm aware he's recording. All right, so let's see the next one. Cultural techno content. Oh, okay, this is out. Okay, it's for teachers. Okay, all right. So we have from Dr. Seibu, cultural techno contextual approach, CTCA, and teacher professional development, bridging the gap between theory and practice in science. Oh, I think this may be too much for a correspondence. This would be very nice for a real article. But if there's a way you can reduce the focus and probably pick 1 or 2 perspectives, then I think it would. Because if you're bridging the gap between theory and practice, you want to emphasize on the theory, you want to emphasize on the practice. So So with the 500, 700 words, I'm not sure it will capture your intent, because I see this is going to be a very beautiful write-up. So you might want to reduce the focus. Look at something else within CTCA and teachers that can be captured within 500 and 700 words. Social media as a tool for social justice in Africa. Okay, I think this would be, this is going to be interesting. Social media, everybody knows what social media is, but as a tool for social justice, let's see. Yes, we know that so far social media has been used in recent times. The news regarding Bobrisky, social media has been used to, review so many things and so on, and so many information like that, where we get to hear some versions on social media, even though there's an outcry that social media also, you can't trust the information. But this is also going to be a nice write-up if you're able to defend the fact, how it will, or how it can be used for social justice. So I think it is narrow enough. And I think this would be a very nice topic to work on. Rising cases of gun violence. So yeah, okay, yeah, you mentioned that. Rising cases of gun violence among younger generations in Sweden. Even Sweden knows that there's a rising case. All right. That is why they are seeking support from other countries. But I want you to look at it from a different perspective. Like, Dr. Monday, what's your specialty?
Management.
Management. Is there a way you can situate the gun violence to management?
Yeah, maybe on the economy. I'll think about that. It's,
yeah, beautiful. Because this is a very beautiful, I'm sure if you publish in a Swedish Scopus document, they'll really be happy. But you want to situate it different. You want to take it away from the general perspective, because this is very general. Gun violence among younger generations is too general. It's just like when you say social media addictions amongst adolescents. It's very general, but we want you to situate it. All right. So I think I'm running out of time. So it would be nice. This is going to be a very interesting topic. It would be nice to situate it. The slides. Okay, I will send the slides to the organizers, and I'm sure they will get back to you regarding the slides. Yes, I'll share the slides. What other thing? Social media processes and effects among the youth, focusing on the Gen Z. Social media processes and effects among, you have a lot of ideas here. Can you streamline it? Social media processes is one, the effects is another, among the youth, focusing on the Gen Z. Okay, so I think you want to remove the youths completely and just focus on Gen Z, because the youth it's broad already. So that's like from the example I gave you, you just want to go straight to the point. Like the example regarding the Sudan, we didn't talk about health generally, or we didn't say everybody did have access. Like we used to write in our normal articles where we start from the global, narrow to our country, or we start from general, we narrow to specific. No, just go straight to the point. So I think you have a beautiful idea here, but then I think you have like 3 ideas, and I'm looking at 500, 700, because you have to make your introduction comprehensive, even though it's sunset, but it has to be comprehensive. Meaning we have to see evidences proving that this is truly a problem with all your introduction. Then the problem statement will actually capture that, yes, now we agree that something must be done. And finally, you're telling us what should be done and with your conclusion. So I think this is beautiful, but you might just take out all the other youths completely and focus on Gen Z. Then you want to focus on the social media. Probably could be social media. Okay. Yeah, I think you would have a better idea on how to reduce it, but this is beautiful. Okay, let's see. Thank you very much, Dr. Nasil. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you very much. So I think it would be nice if you all can take your time. You can, it would be nice if you can create a small group where everybody writes, you write a complete article, and, you could, I don't know what the organizers would like to do, if they want to follow up on these documents, because I know that some people do this. When you write, we could follow up on these documents, improve it, and you could collaborate and send for publication. But I think it is all left to the organizers to finally decide this. But it would be nice if it could be collaborated. My email address, okay, so let me send my email address to the chat box. So if you all can do this, we could collaborate, you know, depending on how you want it, it can be improved because like I said, even when I write mine, I still have to send to somebody that has the idea of my field. We work, we improve and so on. So let's see how far it goes. I've shared my email in the box, in the chat box now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Over to you, Dr. Bamiru.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, ma, for the really appreciate the insight you shared with us. Really about, like, we hope that it will improve the capacity of those that the level once again. I think now we have to move to the questioning section. Can we just signify and then we unmute ourselves? Question? Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma, for the wonderful presentation. God bless you, ma. My question is, do we really need a supervisor to publish this letter to the editor, like, because I'm a recent graduate, so I'm kind of new to this. So do we need supervisor or maybe an higher authority before our papers can be accepted? I mean, letter to the editor can be accepted for publication.
No. It is good, you can work with a mentor, you can work with someone that is very experienced in publication, but that is not a requirement. In fact, if you could write it yourself and write it beautifully, you can send it to journals, and if they're interested, they'll publish. You don't need, but it's always good when, you know, there's always a mentor, but then if it's something you can do yourself, you don't need anyone to help you look through. Except if you just want someone to help you look through for a second opinion, see if there's coherence, see if there's flow, you know. But if you're able to do this yourself and you're able to do fine, you don't need anybody to publish with. But then we always encourage mentorship.
Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Another question I have is that about the citation. Do you kind of need you follow the guideline of the journal citation, like APA citation and like so?
Most of the time, because I'm a psychologist, I follow APA. But some journals will tell you the style of citations they want. You know, before you publish, you have to go through the author guidelines. So they'll tell you the fonts, the size, the way you should arrange the type, whether you're using Times New Roman or you're using Cambria or you're using any other font, the size, how you should paginate your work, you know, everything, the paragraphing and everything. They would give you those instructions. So some of them will tell you the way they want you to reference, and some of you will tell you to use APA.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Hello.
Okay,
maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, madam, for the presentation today. This is a new insight for me, you know, because I'm here in Malaysia, actually, in UUM. So what I want to know, because one of the requirements, I'm new here also, this is my second month here in my PhD program. So what I want to know, is it possible, or because before we graduate for the doctorate program, you know, we need to publish an article. Can this letter go in for that article? Is
if it is in line,
possible?
yes.
I don't know if it's in line with my course also.
If it is in line with your topic, your thesis topic.
Okay, my thesis topic. Okay.
Yes, there has to be. It has to be in line. They have to, before we, it's a good thing you're in Malaysia. Before they can actually acknowledge that this publication is for your research topics, there has to be variables that are aligned, right? So the title has to capture some an aspect of your topic. So automatically it should be, because, well, another thing is it would be nice you ask the IPS in your university. But in my university, I'm a lecturer here, and I've been publishing ever since, because when I came at French, language was a barrier, and I've been publishing correspondence, and I get my full points. Because as lecturers, we also get points for publishing.
I'll try to ask because I've not.
As long as
this
the topic,
to me,
as long as the topic aligns, I think it should be accepted. But you might need to ask the IPS in your university.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That's
Hello.
Thank you.
Yes, bro. Thank you so much. Good evening. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much for this groundbreaking presentation. Honestly, initially when I saw the flyer, I thought that your presentation is going to be like how to write letter to editor, like a journal, letter to a journal. Honestly, that's what came to my mind. I said, anyway, no matter how it is, let me just join. But from your explanation, then everything turns upside down. I said, oh, this is something interesting. I have to stop doing everything and start jotting here and there. So thank you so much, actually.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My question is, nowadays we are in generation of AI. AI is everywhere, and especially in terms of writing. So what is your view regarding using AI to write letter to editor, especially, by just clicking and hitting start date? So what is your view regarding this?
Thank you very much for this question. It's something I missed out. Thank you very much. Now, some journals will tell you they don't want you to use AI. And some journals will tell you that if you use AI, there are certain forms and certain information you have to give them. And you have to tick certain boxes if you use AI. But most of the time for correspondence, they just want your own idea. But if you use AI, like I said, the journal will determine how they want you to go. Some journals want you to use AI. They don't mind if you use AI, but you have to let them know, you have to provide the percentage and the aspect AI generated for you. Then some will tell you that they don't want you to use AI, so you have to sign a form that says that I know part was auto-generated. So it depends on the journal. Though most of the time, most of the ones I write, I don't use AI. But sometimes if I need to paraphrase, if there's an idea, I think, oh, this is a very nice idea, and it goes in line with my work. Sometimes I use AI to paraphrase, like Gemini, Gemini chat to paraphrase, or using what's the other name? Ziblit, I've forgotten its name, to paraphrase. But that's a different thing. You can use AI for paraphrasing. And some will even indicate that if you use AI for paraphrasing, you have to tick, you have to let them know, because if they do the similarity check using AI, they would find out. So it is best you are very truthful. So if you use AI, let them know. If they don't mind, they would accept. But if they mind, they will also let you know. That's why you have to read the author guidelines to know if they wanted to use AI. Some will tell you that you can use AI, but not more than 20% or 30% of your write-up. So yes, that's a beautiful question. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah. I think there's one Aisha that wants to ask a question here.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ma, for the wonderful presentation. So my question is that when Mr. Jibril Babayo asked a question concerning the article publication before we finish our program. So my question is that in UPSI, because you said it is acceptable in UPSI, right? Okay, so if, for example, now my topic is about underemployment, psychological and underemployment. So if I want to publish the letter to the editor rather, So, like I must put my research topic, right? It must be on my research topic.
The topic of your letter today, it's not going to be all your topic. It's just an aspect of your topic.
Okay, an aspect of my topic. Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be all, because all your topic will have methodology, design, and all your topic has a lot into it. But for letter to the editor, you just want to pick on a part that you know may need urgent. You just need to. It's a part that is very prominent. So you want to quickly address that part before you finish your research, so that nobody else addresses that part before you do. Something like that.
Okay,
just so like you want to just like other news station, you want to be the first person to break the news to the world that, oh, come and see, oh, this is happening. That's the idea. But it's just going to be an aspect of your research, not everything.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to like find another topic in like another articles and write the letter to the editor. It must be on my topic.
Not everything about your topic, but it must align with your topic, because if you want to use it for your graduation, they has to see the similarities. Now, it does not have to carry exactly your topic, because, you know, they expect you to publish like 2 articles, right? So they know that if you use all the topic in one article, which other topic will you use? So there's a way you write your topics that you just capture an aspect. For example, you said your topic is about unemployment in private schools, right? You can just focus on, let me see, hold on, I'm trying to scroll up to see the topic again. Okay, now psychological well-being of underemployed private school teachers. So you could just write it could just be like underemployment among private school teachers in Nigeria, a call for action. You know, you've not focused on the psychology, or you could say that psychological well-being of private school teachers in Nigeria. So you can see it's just an aspect, just a small aspect of your research, because if you look at your research, it has a lot to it. But if you just pick a small aspect, in just 500, 700 words, you address it. And that's a beautiful idea, really. If students can focus on correspondence, they tick some boxes waiting for the original, because many people want to do systematic literature review. It's not everybody. Well, for me, systematic literature review takes a year. Like the last one I published with a friend, it took us like a year plus just to publish systematic. So it's, for me, it can be challenging with workload and everything. But correspondence and original research to an extent may be easier. Depends on what we like. I know some of you may find it easy to write systematic. So you just need an aspect of your research. Is it clear?
Okay, yeah, clear. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Doctor. We have come to the end of the program. Looking at the time.
Sorry, can I answer one question? Somebody said the authors. There's no number of authors.
In the next 1 minute. In the next 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay, that's all. That's just the answer. You don't have restrictions on the number of authors, but it will be up. It shouldn't, you know, I don't know. It will look awkward when you have 20 people on the list. So some people will say, some writers will say 10 people should be maximum, really. But really, for just a 700 word, 2, 3, 4 people is okay. My opinion. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have come to the end of the program.
Okay.
Activities, you can join our WhatsApp group. We have to the chat.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. The training is a free training. But if you are interested in getting the certificate, just pay it is short boss for the certificate. The video available on YouTube. We are going to send it to the channel of the our YouTube channel. Going to start training. Our previous training was automatic review, so you can subscribe so that any information you can across to you. Also, text, and we are expecting you in programs. Yes.
Sorry, Dr. Bamira, I didn't really get what you said.
Yeah, I think the network was failing.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, the network. Oh.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you very much. I would have wanted to throw more light on 3 papers, but it's already time. We meet on the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, you are.
Okay.